Hi, I'm Alejandra Catalina Abrusci. I'm a senior solutions architect here at AWS. I work mainly with central government customers to help them leverage the power of AWS cloud services to achieve their mission critical objectives. I'm really passionate about collaborating with my customers so that they can develop tailored solutions that address their specific needs.
Hello, I'm Maria John. I'm a senior solutions architect at AWS. I work closely with local government customers to help them leverage AWS cloud services to design and modernize IT infrastructure. As a solutions architect, I enable customers to deliver efficient and effective digital services for their residents and help to improve operational efficiency of core local authority functions. I'm passionate about using technology to drive innovation in the public sector.
Today, we're going to be covering how local authorities and central government can share data using AWS. With the COVID-19 pandemic, we really saw the impact of data sharing. We had a variety of different data sources that all existed in silos. We had things like, for example, health data, such as the number of ICU admissions. We also had employment data, such as the number of furloughs. And we had a variety of other different demographic data, social data, education data, and so on. This data really existed in silos and it was difficult to find. Furthermore, data quality wasn't great. The COVID-19 pandemic really taught us that it is vital to use the right data to make the best decisions possible. And data accessibility is key. So why is it so hard? It actually comes down to culture. Organizations need to build a culture of trust and collaboration. And this comes down to having the right transparency. Different organizations may have different risk appetites. And there is a lot of communication that needs to happen for data sharing to occur. Data ownership is another tricky aspect to navigate. What happens when you have a data set as an organization and you have to share with other entities? Who retains ownership of that data and how is that managed? We also find some common challenges across our customers. We find that our customers find it difficult to explore data, especially when they have distributed data sets across accounts and regions. There's also a delay of access to data. So when our customers are looking to access a data set, a lot of the time they have a lengthy manual process and they have to send a few emails and wait for a response. We also have technical barriers when it comes to having the right access to the right tools to do the job. Furthermore, there's no single environment for our customers to explore data and collaborate. And finally, data governance is actually quite hard to navigate, especially when it's hidden by different tools and our organizations have heterogeneous governance requirements. So where do we start? A lot of organizations in public sector decide to start from a top-down approach. So they may look to do things like, for example, data strategy, look at fix their culture internally, and then trickle down to the specific elements within an architecture. However, this can take quite a lot of time. And actually, what I want you to take away from this session is that it's really important to start small. Do not underestimate the impact of identifying a project, building that knowledge within your teams, encourage teams to really work together and experiment, fail fast, and then build on top of that to actually establish a data foundation. So I want to put it in terms of the cloud adoption framework. And we can really look at this in the lens of data and data-driven adoption. So if we start with a single project, we can actually experiment and look to drive business value from it. We can then go and establish something called a data community or a center of excellence for data. And what this really is the team within your organization that has the right knowledge and skills based on that experience that they've obtained through that project. And they can then go and scale this across your organization. This will enable you to migrate and modernize your data, and then establish things like, for example, data domains. And furthermore, you can then go and continuously reinvent your approach to data. So now I'm going to be covering how you can share data using AWS. And I'm going to give an overview of some of the services, and Maria is going to then do a deep dive on some of the architecture patterns. The first pattern that we're going to be covering today is the hub and spoke pattern. So this is a pattern that is great for peer-to-peer sharing. This is great if you have an organization that has one data set that needs to be shared across multiple entities, and you're not really interested in establishing a two-way data sharing. We also have data mesh patterns, and Maria is going to be covering these in a bit more depth. But these are great for government customers that are a bit more mature in the journey. They are enterprise level, and they're looking to establish mechanisms to actually have two-way data sharing. On one hand, we have a centralized data mesh where the governance is centered in a central team. And then we also have a federated data mesh. And this is great where organizations need to retain ownership of their data, but I still need that discoverability and two-way data sharing. So within Hub and Spoke, we're going to be covering some of the key patterns around this. One of the first key Hub and Spoke patterns is actually using APIs to share data. So it is very easy to share APIs with AWS. So you can use something like Amazon API Gateway to do so. And there are two different strands of APIs, the API patterns that you can use in AWS. You could use, for example, sharing your data warehouse using Amazon Redshift, or your operational databases like Amazon Aurora, and expose these via API. You can also have a data lake approach where you may have your data in S3. You may want to do some transformations using AWS Glue. And then you may actually want to provide a curated subset of your data lake using Amazon Athena, which is a SQL interface that connects natively with S3. This can then be exposed using the Amazon API Gateway. And this is a great way of actually doing a peer-to-peer data sharing where there's not a two-way approach. Another great hub and spoke pattern is to use Amazon Redshift. Amazon Redshift is a cloud data warehouse service that enables you to run SQL analytics in the cloud and supports processing exabytes of data to generate insights. You can create Amazon Redshift data shares to securely share read access to live data across Amazon Redshift clusters, workgroups, AWS accounts, and AWS regions without manually moving or copying the data. You can also use AWS Lake Formation, which enables you to centrally manage granular access to data, improve security and governance with row level and column level granular permissions on the data share. Another great way of sharing data is using AWS Data Exchange. AWS Data Exchange is a data marketplace service that enables data owners to securely access and deliver third-party datasets in 3 different ways: via files, tables, or API. This gives a lot of flexibility to our customers. This is a great way for government customers to actually share datasets that are publicly available. For example, things like statistics around the number of people requesting access to a particular service. AWS Data Exchange also has a feature for private data exchanges, which allows for sharing data sets with the flexibility of 3 different ways of accessing the data. across your organization without making the data public. And on that note, I'm going to hand over to Maria, who's going to be covering data mesh patterns in a bit more depth.
Thanks, Alejandra. Now let's look at data mesh patterns for data sharing. So in a data mesh with central governance, each domain maintains autonomy over its own data, while a central layer facilitates the sharing of this data. The central layer provides a catalog of available datasets, enabling cross-domain data sharing as well as access. So in a data mesh pattern with decentralized governance, the data sharing is peer-to-peer. Data is owned, managed, and shared by each domain directly with other domains without a central coordinating layer. This approach can provide more flexibility and agility, but it also requires more coordination and governance to ensure data quality and security. The choice between a centralized or decentralized data mesh approach or any data sharing pattern will depend on the specific needs and constraints of the public sector organization. Factors such as the size of the organization, the complexity of the data landscape, and the level of collaboration required between domains will play a role in determining the most suitable data architecture. Regardless of the approach, the key to successful data mesh implementation in the public sector is to establish a strong governance framework, clear data ownership, and effective data sharing and access mechanisms. Based on the data mesh patterns that we've just seen, we can say that a data mesh is a distributed data architecture that enables the governed sharing of data products from domain-specific data producers to data consumers within an organization. Now, in the public sector, data producers and consumers are often different government agencies or departments rather than teams within a single organization. This requires a higher level of coordination, collaboration, and governance to ensure that their products are accessible and useful across various public sector entities. So now let's look at different components of a data mesh architecture. So a data mesh is organized around self-contained data domains. Within each data domain, there are data producers who are responsible for generating, transforming, and publishing data products by making them discoverable through a common catalog. These data producers have deep domain expertise and can understand the context and data quality requirements. Data consumers are individuals or applications that utilize the data products provided by data producers using APIs or resource shares. Data consumers use the data they need without being burdened by the complexities of a centralized data platform. Federated data governance layer enables security and compliance across domains where each domain is responsible for defining and enforcing its own data policies, standards, and quality controls. This architecture can be implemented using AWS Lake Formation or Amazon Data Zone. Let's understand a bit more about these AWS services. Now, AWS Lake Formation simplifies data sharing across accounts, supports data mesh architecture, minimizes data movement, and centrally manages permissions for data integrated with AWS Glue Data Catalog. The data catalog makes it easier for users to discover data for analytics and machine learning. Data producers can easily grant access to data consumers who can then cascade that access as appropriate. Now let's look at a purpose-built service to accelerate your journey to set up a data mesh in your organization. Amazon Data Zone helps to govern data access across organizational boundaries, helps to connect people and data through a shared set of tools to derive insights, as well as automate data discovery and cataloging using machine learning capabilities. The public sector is experiencing exponential growth in the volume of data being generated, captured, and consumed annually, and traditional data management approaches are unable to scale effectively. Local and central government institutions are turning to solutions like Amazon Data Zone, which helps them to strategically identify and curate the most relevant and high-quality data sources. By feeding this curated data into analytics and AI/ML models, government institutions can unlock valuable insights that can inform policymaking and enhance public service delivery across all levels of government. Amazon Data Zone allows you to create domains to organize your data assets, business terminology, and the infrastructure needed to manage and access data. This can be highly beneficial for government agencies that need to manage a diverse set of data sources like citizen records, asset data, and so on. You can set up projects and environments for collaboration, which is well suited for the public sector, where multiple departments or agencies may need to work together on shared initiatives. The publish subscribe workflows and access control mechanisms can help ensure data is properly secured and shared only with authorized personnel while still enabling cross-functional collaboration. The Amazon Data Zone Data Portal is a standalone interface that is separate from the AWS console. This portal provides users with a single entry point to access the business data catalog, manage projects, and perform administrative tasks, thereby helping public sector entities easily discover, understand, and access the data they need to make informed decisions and deliver effective public services. Additionally, the programmatic access through APIs can allow government IT teams to build custom applications and integrations that leverage the data managed within Amazon Data Zone. This can streamline data-driven workflows and enable more efficient service delivery to citizens. Now, many public sector customers find it challenging to create and maintain a well-curated data catalog by relying on their data owners to manually provide all this information. Manually curating business data is error-prone and not scalable. Amazon Data Zone leverages the latest AI/ML technology to automate catalog curation, which will help reduce the effort required for manual catalog management and enable catalog curation at scale, allowing customers to discover every bit of data. Let's look at how Amazon Data Zone supports governed data sharing through the publish and subscribe workflow. Both data producers and data consumers work within the boundaries of a project. A data producer can use a project to publish data from data sources such as Amazon Redshift, AWS Glue Data Catalog, and Amazon S3 into the business data catalog. A data consumer can find these assets in the catalog and subscribe to them. Now, in order to subscribe, the data consumers also need to use a project. Here we refer to this project as the consumer project. Once the consumer has subscribed to an asset, Amazon Data Zone can grant the access by managing AWS lake formation permissions or creating grants in Amazon Redshift clusters on behalf of the customer. For assets in Amazon S3, the grants currently need to be managed by the customer. So overall, Amazon Data Zone's capabilities align well with the data management and collaboration needs of local and central government organizations, providing a robust platform to support data-driven decision-making. Both the data mesh architecture and Amazon Data Zone embrace the same key principles of decentralized ownership, federated governance, peer-to-peer data sharing, self-service infrastructure. By adopting these principles, government institutions at all levels can break down data silos, promote collaboration, and empower teams to access and leverage the most relevant data sources. So the combination of a data mesh architecture and Amazon Data Zone's capabilities enable local and central government institutions to harness exponential growth of data, derive maximum value from their data assets, and overcome the challenges posed by traditional data management approaches. To take this learning now to the next level, we highly encourage you to check out these resources to dive deep into the data sharing patterns discussed in this video so that you can implement the same for your workloads in AWS. So the advice we would like to leave you with is to identify non-sensitive projects. Start small and focus on simple data sharing patterns to build experience and confidence. Embrace a culture of experimentation, be willing to fail fast, and take on an iterative approach to evolve your data architecture over time. So thank you for watching this video. We hope it helped you better understand the role of a solutions architect and encourage you to explore and build on AWS.